Hello, this is the fourth tutorial in our series on managing the library's WordPress site, and in this tutorial we will be going over creating and managing pages on the library website. And pages are just what you normally think of when you think of web pages. It's most of the content on our website. For instance, let me find an example of a plain old page on our website. Think the Ask a Librarian is a page that uses an embedded chat widget. Computer and media equipment is another example of a page on our site. Pretty much anything where you just want to have text and maybe some embedded widgets and things like that is appropriate for a page. So for you to create and edit pages, you want to go to the library's WordPress site at library.sbuniv.edu, and you will need to log in, and you will need to have the privilege called Site Editor. The administrator of the WordPress system, whoever that is, can add the Site Editor privilege to you, and you'll need to do that before you continue. So I created a test profile for this purpose we'll be using for this tutorial. Let's log in, and our dashboard has quite a bit more on it than we had in the previous tutorials when we were talking about creating policies and procedures and things like that as a librarian user. And we have on the left here this pages content type. It's very similar to what we did before with policies and procedures. So we can get a list of all the pages on our site, and we can edit them. Let's go ahead and add a new page, and we will call it My Example Page. And adding content to the page is exactly the same as adding content to policies and procedures like we did last time, so I will not spend time going over that again. I will just enter some text here real quick. And that is going to be the text of our page. Not very fancy at all. Now let's talk about some of the things that are specific to pages that are not available on our other content types. First of all is this parent. This helps to organize pages. Specifying a parent for your page does not have anything to do with where the page appears in the drop-down navigation menu or anything like that. It is purely an organizational device. So we could make it a top-level page with no parent, or we could make it the parent of an existing page, or the parent of a child page, or wherever we want. I'll make it the child of Ask a Librarian just for fun, no apparent reason why. And specifying a template is another important thing. By default, when you create a page, it uses a default template that is actually exactly the same as this one called two-column page right sidebar. And most of these have a pretty self-explanatory name. The one-column page with no sidebar means that your text area here takes up the entire page. Two-column page with left sidebar means the sidebar's on the left, the sidebar's on the right, or this one has two sidebars. All of these other templates are for very specific types of pages, and you should not really ever use them. If you are creating a front page, you will use the front page template, but there's not really any reason to use any of these other ones. So let's go ahead and just use the default template, and as much as possible you'll want to use the default template just so that our pages are consistent and so our patrons are not confused. I just put the other templates in there just so that you have the option in case it's necessary. So now that we have our template selected, we are using the default template, which has a right sidebar, and you might be asking what goes in that sidebar. Well, the way you control what appears in the sidebar is through widgets. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, there's this page widget section, and it's kind of chaos. WordPress by default does not allow you to modify widgets on a page-by-page basis, so we're using a plugin that does it, and it works really well, but it's not very visually easy to use necessarily. So this default button is clicked by default, and if this button is clicked, then the site-wide widget settings will be used, and the stuff that appears in the sidebar of your page is the same as the stuff that appears on the sidebar of pretty much all the other pages on the library website. But for and generally that is all you need. Let's go ahead and click Customize here just so I can demonstrate how it works. And we see these menus on the right specify the different widget areas that are available on our page. There is a widget area in the header, which, well, let me pull up our web page, and it is this little spot right here, so you can control that. There is a right sidebar, which is the sidebar on the right, which we're primarily going to be working with. On pages that have a left sidebar, this is where the left sidebar widgets go. Above page content is if you want to put a widget, sorry, let me show you here. If you want to put a widget between the title of your page and the actual body of your page, and if you use a below page content widget, that's very similar, it puts the widget beneath the content of your page but above the footer. And front page main area is only applicable to the front page template. The side pop-out widget area is what controls this little pop-out appears here where we have a chat link. You probably shouldn't control that and do much with that widget area. Special message is if you want to give a big pop-up, like because there's a special situation like ours today at the library have changed, you can add a widget in there to give some text and give a big message in the middle of our page. And main sidebar actually is not something that is used on our site. So I'm going to show you now how to add content to the sidebar. On the left here we have a list of all the types of widgets that are available for us to use. And there's a whole lot of them, and a lot of them are not going to mean anything to you, and honestly there's probably no reason ever to use most of them. A lot of them are built into WordPress. There are a few custom ones that I've created for various reasons. The most common one that you'll use is the text widget. So let me expand our right sidebar, and we are going to put a text widget in our right sidebar, and when you drop it in there, it lets you put a title. We'll call it my widget, and then we can add some text to it. We can say this is some stuff, and we'll hit save. And then just for fun, we'll get rid of this this other widget here that is titled Help for Research. So to get rid of one, you just drag it off and release it over there. And let's publish our page and see what we did. So we'll go to View Page now. is our example page, and here is the widget we just created, and we don't have that research help widget that normally occupies this area. Another very commonly used type of widget is called simple link list. We'll go ahead and add one of those to this column, and we will call it My Links, and we'll make a link to Google just for fun, and we'll make a link to the SBU website just for fun. And it gives you room for 4 links, but if you fill up all 4 of them and click Save, it will make more link slots available for you to use. And we don't want this to be a numbered list, so we'll click Unordered, and let's click Save now. And then we need to also update our page. And click Update. And now we have our links appearing in a nice uniform way that is the same as all these other lists of links and stuff that appear in these other widgets. So that's the preferred way to add lists of links to your sidebar areas. I want to show you also what it looks like when you use the special message widget, because it's not very self-explanatory and it's best just to give a demonstration. Let's drag a text widget into the special message spot, and we'll call it Notice Hours Have Changed. And we'll say the library has special hours today. We close at 4. Don't ask me why, we just do. Click Save, and we will update our page. And reload. And bam, we have this big you can't miss it type message right in the middle of our page that says hours have changed. It makes most sense to use this type of widget when you are editing your front page. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to put this on some random page on your website, and you can click the X there and it goes away. But it's a very handy tool for you to use. If there's something special going on for a limited time, and then you just have to make sure that once that message is no longer applicable, that you go in and delete the widget from that area. And click Update. And then just for fun, I want to show you what happens when you change the template. We will use the one with the left sidebar instead of the right sidebar. Click Update. And as you can imagine, now we have this thing on the left, and there is a plain text widget that I have, and there is an example. And actually, it looks like I need to fix this template so that the title appears above the sidebar, but that will be fixed by the time that you have a chance to experiment with it yourself. And if we use the no sidebars, then surprise, surprise, there are no sidebar areas. So that's helpful if you want to use a giant image or like a giant Google map or something like that in the middle of your page. So that pretty much covers the creation of pages. And if you want to edit pages, you can just go to the All Pages view, and you can find the page you want and edit it. Also, if you are on a page and viewing it, there will be the handy dandy edit link on the page that you can click, and it takes you to the same thing. And then, like I said before, pretty much everything else is identical to making policies and procedures.